Hi, welcome back to another tier list, and today we are on the further adventures of Lucie Miller, or what I call the 8th Doctor Adventures Season 1.5. So this is a mini-series of 4 episodes set between Season 1 and Season 2 of the 8th Doctor Adventures from Big Finish, and it's just 4 adventures. However, this is a mini-series with an overarching story which connects from episode 1 to episode 4. Whilst I prefer the 13 episode series that we get between series 1 and 7, I think, of New Who, with the overarching story and the 2-parters and all that, I prefer that over smaller episode counts. But I do have to point out, Big Finish proves once again how you can do a smaller episode count season very successfully with an overarching story. Okay? They're proving it once again. So we'll get straight into it with the Dalek trap. So that's the first episode of this series, and again I'm going to try and keep it spoiler free as much as possible. But this episode has Daleks and a trap. I feel like if it's in the title, it's not really a spoiler, so I can get away with it. Although I will say the Daleks are not actually the villains of the episode. The episode got a 5 in rating from me, and I think I'm going to put it into I'm going to put it into fantastic. Okay, just straight up put in the... I feel like I'm doing a repeat of season 1 now. The first episode is a Dalek one, it goes into fantastic, even though it got a 5. But I think it's going to go into fantastic. I really loved the fact that this really put a spotlight on Lucie as a companion. So this episode starts with a little montage of Lucie and the Doctor adventures. So you can see that between this one and the end of series 1, they have gone on some other adventures. So it's not just from that into this. They've been together for a while. As of the end of season 1, she no longer has to be with the Doctor anymore. The Time Lords in season 1, I forgot to mention, did actually put a sort of stopper on his TARDIS if Lucie wasn't on board, so that he had to look after her. In this season, that's no longer an issue. That story was wrapped up in the last season. So the Doctor and Lucie are just travelling together because they want to at this point, and because they're having fun, they're enjoying it, and they're so good together. So I love the introduction with the little montage of their little adventures leading up to this one. I really liked that. I thought it was good. And also this is another great mystery of this episode, because Lucie, as I say, is the main character of this one. Everything's riding on Lucie. She has to save the day, and the Doctor. The Doctor's a little bit, shall we say, out of sorts in this episode. I don't want to give spoilers again, so I'm just going to say he's out of sorts, and Lucie has to be the one to save the day, to figure out what's going on, try really hard to keep her memory intact, because the place that they've gone to messes with your memory. It kind of stops you from remembering things. So Lucie is the one who figures out as much as she can what's going on, figures out how to save the day, how to save the Doctor, and she implements it all really well. And at the end of the episode, the Doctor has no memory of what's happened, but Lucie does, and I really like that as well. I love the fact that the companion remembers the adventure and the Doctor forgets it, because as I've said in my classic era tier list series, I think it was the one with Joe, I think it was the 3rd Doctor adventure with Joe and the Master, but I really hate when Time Lords have become this overpowered, massively brilliant species with every power under the sun for some reason. I don't like that. I don't like that they keep gaining abilities. I'd rather they just be humans with long lifespans, maybe a bit of telepathic abilities. I'm fine with that, but I just don't like the whole overpowered Time Lord thing. And in this one, it's similar to the 3rd Doctor episode that I talked about ages ago now, where Joe woke up first and the Doctor and the Master were still unconscious after something happened. This one reminds me of that, with Lucie being the one to remember the events and the Doctor being the one to forget them, even though they both went through the same thing. I mean, physically they both went through the same thing. So I like that. Again, shout out to whoever does the sound on these things. There's moments that are really echoey, and it just really adds to the whole atmosphere of the location that they're supposed to be in, so it's just brilliant. And I think that's all I can say without spoilers. So all I can say, it's a really great episode, really fun. Lucie's at the forefront, having to be the hero of this story. It's a really good mystery. I love it. There are 2 MVPs, and they are... I'm sorry if I say this wrong, I'm really sorry. Jik Galiska and Raz Callisto. They are my MVPs of this story. They're kind of partners in this, so I can't really pick one or the other. I'm just putting them both in there. So I've just had a look at my quotes for the season, and I've remembered a moment that I really wanted to say, because I don't think that's a spoiler. There are 2 quotes for this moment because it comes back again. There's a different quote that I want to use as the quote of the episode because it shows how much Lucie has come to trust and care for the Doctor. I want to use that as the quote of the episode. So I will mention the other moment now just for funsies. Basically, Lucie has to identify herself to the Daleks, and she basically says, "I'm Lucie Bleeding Miller." And for the rest of the episode, the Daleks, who have no sense of anything really, they call her Lucie Bleeding Miller for the whole rest of the episode. And there's a moment where they literally say, "Lucie Bleeding Miller is escaping." So funny, I love it. But that is not my quote of the episode. My quote of the episode is this one. This is Lucie talking to Jick and Raz. Is it Jick and Raz? It's Jick and Raz. This is Lucie talking to Jick and Raz. And this is after she's just figured out about the memory wiping of this place that they're in and how to try and combat that to be able to get out of the situation. And she says, "Maybe it's worth hanging on to what's important. And for me, that's the Doctor. I believe in him. And if I can carry on believing him, well, maybe he's got a plan. Or maybe we can just snap him out of it. Or, I don't know. But I'm not giving up on him, alright? He hates the Daleks too much for them to be able to control his mind, I'm sure of it. He'll fight back. I know it. I'm not giving up on him." So you may think there was an accidental spoiler in there. Maybe it's not a spoiler. Maybe Lucie got the wrong end of the stick. I'm not saying anything. Yeah, I just love that one because it just shows Lucie as being a tremendous companion, akin to all the other most beloved companions in the New Who era especially. Like when Rose or Amy talks about the Doctor, or when Martha went around the world for an entire year talking to people about the Doctor. On foot, I might add. I'm never going to stop praising Martha, I'm sorry. Although I did say, in my companion tier list, I did say Lucie Miller would be the other person I would have no doubt would be able to do what Martha did. Make of that what you will. But yeah, I just think that quote's a really good one to show how far Lucie's come in her relationship with the Doctor, and it puts her on the same level as the most loved companions in how much she trusts and believes in him to save the day and to save her. No matter what's happening with him, as I say, he's out of sorts in this one. No matter what's happening, she believes that he will figure it out, he will find a way around it, and all she has to do is just snap him out of it and he'll have a plan ready to go. I just think that's a really good quote for showing that relationship between them. Next up is the Revolution game. So with this one I gave a 4. It's still a really good episode, still really good, but not quite on the level of the rest of the series. This one is the only one that if you took it out of the series, the rest of the series would still make complete sense with the overarching story, because this is the only one that doesn't actually connect to the overarching story, really. So I think it's a really good story, it just doesn't need to be there as much as the rest of them. But obviously I'm not advocating for taking any stories out. Give me as much as you can, you know? For this episode, it's Lucie's birthday and the Doctor has taken her to a spacey roller derby rink. So that's fun. And there's an evil corporation. There's some victims of ethnic cleansing who want some vengeance. And yeah, I wonder which one the Doctor will choose to go up against. Everything post Interstellar Song Contest for me has been, this is what Doctor Who's supposed to be. I'll never be over that one. I'll never be over that. Considering the time that one came out as well, I'll never be over it. No. No. But back to this one. This one, the Doctor makes the right choice and doesn't torture anyone. There's really not much I can say without giving spoilers away. I've basically said everything I can without giving spoilers away. It's a decent episode. Alice Cavender wrote this one. Absolutely brilliant script, and I think that she should have written the Interstellar Song Contest because she understands how the Doctor would deal with this evil corporation. But I'm going to put this one into Upgrade in Progress. It's really, really good, and Upgrade in Progress is still a good tier, but I just don't think it's on the same level story-wise as the rest in this series. So I'm going to put it into Upgrade in Progress. The MVP of the episode is Tallulah, 3 Hours and an H, but not that Tallulah with 3 Hours and an H. And I didn't pick this one because they had the same name, because anyone who's watched my companion tier lists and rankings knows I love Tallulah. This is a completely different Tallulah. I just picked this character because they are the right character for it. As with basically all these audio dramas, every single quote I've written down apart from 1 or 2 is a spoiler. So I'm going to go with the very first quote on this list from early on in the episode, very early on. And it's Lucie talking to a character called Sash. And Sash says, "Your friend's a doctor." And Lucie says, "Well, not in a useful sort of doctor." Again, most of the quotes contain massive spoilers, but I just like that one because it shows Lucie with her relationship with the Doctor that they're so comfortable with each other to be able to say that sort of thing about each other even when they're in the vicinity of each other. And also it's just funny because he's not actually a doctor. Him graduating in the wrong century does not count as him graduating. How can you do that anyway? It doesn't make any sense. He's not a doctor. No. He is useful, but not as a doctor. So next up is The House on the Edge of Chaos. So this one is Really, really good. I couldn't wait to get back to this one on my re-listen because this one is a favourite. I gave it a 5 and it features Lucy and the Doctor going to this planet where everything's just static. You know that black and white static? It's just that. Everything is just that. And it's so hard to imagine just the static all around. And then there's this house. And the house is the only thing that exists in this land of static. And that's the only place that they're safe. So the Doctor and Lucy have to go into this house. And it's a very upstairs, downstairs situation. So you've got the rich toffs and you've got the plebs, effectively, who wait on them hand and foot. And it's all about maintaining order, even though that makes absolutely no sense when you look into it, just like a tiny little bit. But apparently none of the plebs did that. And there's a lot of deaths going on in this house. Yeah, so the Doctor gets put downstairs because he's not needed upstairs, but Lucy is asked to remain upstairs because she is a nice looking lady and they don't have many women upstairs who are eligible to marry the many men they have, so they asked Lucy to remain upstairs. So that's quite a nice way of separating the two. I quite liked that. And it does mean that Lucy just gets to lounge around a bit and enjoy herself while the Doctor has to scrape around and try and solve the mystery of this one. The script for this one is really good as well, even though it's an audio drama, so they have to sort of tell, not show, because they physically can't show. They're still not treating the audience like idiots. They're using language as you would in daily life to explain things to people. There's moments when they're talking about the static outside and someone says to look at the windows and the Doctor and Lucy are like, I thought they were screens. You instantly have this idea in mind that they've been going around seeing these screens everywhere that have static, but actually it's windows. It's just like the smallest little thing which adds hugely to the story and to the environment of the story to show you what Lucy and the Doctor are seeing, what they're going through. And there's also a moment when Lucy asks the Doctor about a portrait they've seen and she says another portrait. She doesn't say this portrait, she says another portrait. And the Doctor says, yeah, I've counted 5 so far, all of the same person. So again, just that line shows they've seen this throughout. In TV, obviously, you'd have it where the portraits would be in the background and the audience would have to go, wait a minute, is that the same portrait? Are they in the same room? Is that what's going on? And then the characters would talk about it and you'd be like, oh, okay. In audio dramas, you don't get that. You don't get that visual. So you can't think about it early on. However, the way that Lucy and the Doctor describe it isn't, oh, look at that portrait. Oh, look at that portrait. That's the same portrait. They'll just mention it the once as, that's another portrait of the same woman. And the Doctor says, yep, I've counted 5 of them so far throughout the house. That's weird. It's just such a normal way of conversing about it. And I think it works really well to treat your audience like actual educated people rather than idiots. And it works to create the environment, to create the atmosphere. It's all really good. Okay, script is really, really good. I have some notes about the whole maintaining order thing because that's a huge aspect of the plot, but I will go into a rant about how maintaining order doesn't mean you keep the same status quo at all costs. It just means you have a structure. Structure can change and develop. That is what it should do as required. But in this, they're very intent on keeping the order, not order in general, but the order. They want their order. That's because they want the people upstairs to remain upstairs and the people downstairs to remain downstairs no matter what. It would send me on a rant if I discussed that because I get way too angry about that sort of stuff. So it would send me on a rant, and that's not about the story. That's an aspect of the story. It wouldn't be a rant about the episode, so I don't need to go on a rant. I keep telling myself, don't need to do it. It's fine. So all that's left to mention is there's a cliffhanger ending that leads directly into the next episode. It's amazing. Even with just 4 episodes in a series, Big Finish know how to make it a great series. Each script is brilliant. Each story itself is brilliant. Everything's engaging and wonderful, and the overarching story, it's just so neatly connected and tied up. It's perfect. So yeah, the cliffhanger ending to this one is fantastic. I love it. So I'm just going to tier this one now because I've already said it got a 5 and I'm going to put it into UEU. This is a fantastic episode and I would love to see this one put on screen because it's really hard to imagine the whole static atmosphere thing. Really hard to imagine it because I keep thinking of white space and then static, but it's actually just static. It's really hard for me to physically picture that in my mind, but I love it, okay? Great story, really Doctor Who-y. It shows the companion Doctor dynamic. It has a great mystery. It has them splitting up because all Doctor Who stories do have the companion and Doctor splitting up. It shows the Doctor going against the whole order thing. It's just brilliant, okay? Everything is just brilliant. The MVP of the episode is Francis Horton. And the quote of the episode is a conversation between Francis and the Doctor. So they are running away from the thing that is causing the deaths in this house. And Francis says, "This is your fault." And the Doctor says, Oh good, blame me instead of focusing on getting away from that thing. This is again where I come to regret my decision to do a quote per episode rather than per season, because all of the best quotes are spoilers or are at the end of the episode where it kind of gives away what happened in it. Yeah, sorry about that. You're just going to get fun little bits and jokes and stuff for all the quotes of the episodes for the audio dramas. But you know what? It's still really good writing. I love it, okay? And the performances as well. I urge you to listen to these audio dramas so you get the full performance of these lines. I will not do it justice, okay? The actual actors do, okay? It's brilliant. And finally we come to the last episode of the season, which is Island of the Fendal. So this episode got another 5, and I'm just going to straight away put this into Uyu. I love this episode, okay? If you see my Classic Who tier list for season 15, I want to say, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of the Fendal episode of that, or the Fendal in general, really. It was really weird. But this was brilliant. This was amazing. From start to big finish, this was brilliant, okay? This is a fantastic episode. It tied into the first episode of the series. It tied into, obviously, to the last episode with the cliffhanger. Everything about this was just fantastic. The mystery of it, watching the Doctor and Lucie completely separately solving this mystery at the same sort of time was brilliant, epic. The beginning as well. So at the beginning of the episode, the Doctor is kind of knocked out and he says to Lucie, look, I have to restart my hearts. So if I don't wake up in a minute, then panic. And she's like, what? And he just sort of flatlines for a bit. And she's not panicking, starting to panic now. Okay. So she has to leave the TARDIS and try and figure out what to do, find help, figure out something. And she goes, right, I'm going to think like the Doctor, think like the Doctor. By the way, this is like right at the beginning of the episode, so it's not spoilers. It's literally the setup of the episode. So she goes off. She's like, right, okay, think like the Doctor, do this. Then when the Doctor does wake up, he then goes, right, think like Lucie, think like Lucie. What would she do? Right, okay. So the way they get split up in the episode is so natural and so brilliant, because they go in opposite directions because they are thinking like each other. It's just really brilliant. I love the whole setup of the episode and them getting separated for this mystery. There are scenes with the Doctor and one character and Lucie and another character in some tunnels later on in the episode, and they're both having the sort of the same conversation in their pairs as they're walking through these tunnels, like at different points of the tunnels, and sort of figuring out the mystery at the same time. I really loved how that worked on audio as well. Like you could tell they were in different places having different conversations that just happened to be the same sort of thing. It just worked really well. I really loved that. And there's nothing else I can say because everything else is spoiler territory, so I'm very sorry about that. I just think it's really, really good. And it ties immediately back into the first episode as well. It's just really good. This mini-series is so fantastic, and I'm really glad that they decided to do this, because this was made long after series 4 was finished. And they brought Sheridan Smith back to do this mini-series that's set between seasons 1 and 2, and I love it. It's really, really good. I would not be opposed to Big Finish doing more mini-series set between season 2 and 3 and 3 and 4. Would not be opposed. I think they're really good. The MVP of the episode is Dieter Fendelman. I thought it was a really good character, really interesting. There's a lot going on with him, which I can't say, but he was a great character. So I have 2 quotes for the episode, which are connected. It's just a bit of time between the first one and the second one. I mean, I just can't do the second one without the first one, you know? The first one is the Doctor on his own as he leaves the TARDIS, when he wakes up and he leaves the TARDIS. And the second one is the Doctor once he's found this monastery on this island that he's on, and he's talking to one of the monks there. So the Doctor says, right, think like Lucie. What would Lucie do? Cry, shout, headbutt a seagull? And then later on, when he's at the monastery, he says, I didn't come here looking for nirvana or enlightenment or inner peace. I came here looking for Lucie, a northern English female possibly trailing battered seagulls in her wake. I love it. It's not, as I said before, with other episode quotes for possibly this one, but definitely the last series, the way that the Doctor and Lucie talk about each other is just brilliant. It shows their friendship is in full force because they can talk about each other like this. And they do. It's so natural to them to talk about each other like this. This is why I say they have a relationship like the Doctor and Donna, because the Doctor says stuff about Donna and Donna says stuff about the Doctor, and they both love each other regardless because they're besties. This is the 8th Doctor and Lucie Miller. They are such good friends, and it just shows. Even when they're annoyed with each other or something like that, they are still there for each other, and they are just brilliant. I love them as a duo. They're so good, and I wish more people knew about them, which is why I'm begging all of you again. This is me once again asking you to listen to the Big Finish audios of the 8th Doctor and Lucie Miller. Please, let it be my birthday present this year. I mean, my birthday was back in January, so it's a bit late now, but you can listen to them already for next year. So that is the whole season, and looking at the tier list, it's a pretty darn good season. I mean, part of me wants to put the Dalek Trap in Uiu and move the Revolution game up to Fantastic as well, but I won't, because this is why I'm trying to be a little tiny bit harsher on the audio dramas, because they'd all be in Uiu. Otherwise, I don't want to spread them out for the sake of spreading them out. I'm only doing it when I feel necessary, but I'm just thinking, if there's a 5, Fantastic is fine for it. If there's a high 5, Uiu is the place for it. So I'm just trying to be a little bit less generous with my tier placements for the audio dramas, because otherwise they'd all be really, really high. But anyway, that is the season. Looking at the season stats, as once again you may have guessed, the most common score for any episode was a 5, and the season average score is a very nice 4.73. I love these audio dramas, what can I say? But that's it, that is my tier list completed. I'm sorry it took me so long to discuss only 4 episodes and without any spoilers, so I don't know why it took me this long. But yeah, that is it, and next time we will be on to season 2. So if you like the audio dramas and you know what I'm talking about, or if you haven't listened to any of the audio dramas and you just like to see me ramble on and attempt to avoid spoilers at every turn, catch me next week for season 2 of the 8th Doctor Adventures.